Welcome to the second lesson in Module 5 at Ridester. In this lesson, we will cover the rides that will pay out the most for your time and how to find them. Length versus time for rides. While you're out and about getting rides, you'll notice that the majority of rides are going to be short. This has good and bad points. A short ride means that you can finish up the ride quickly and get into position to find another one in a short amount of time. During surge prices and busier parts of the day, this is great. However, if you've been waiting for a ride request for an hour or longer, this can feel like a huge waste. After all, you just spent a large amount of time to get a ride that only paid a few dollars. When you can't get consistent rides, you end up spending hours on a few and far between rides with no real payout. Plus, you barely have time to impress and delight your passengers. Longer rides are your best friend. They make more money and allow the opportunity to get a 5-star rating. So the question becomes, how do I find longer rides during the times outside of surges? The answer is simple. Location, location, location. Begin thinking about how people get in and out of the city. Cover what public transit does not. If you live somewhere that has developed public transportation, then a good place to start is outside of the city bus range. Airports offer consistent business. You can park your car in a designated area and enter a queue behind any drivers who've arrived previously. Many of the passengers you pick up here will be heading to hotels within the city. That means longer rides and easier conversation points. Train stations, Greyhound stations, and light rail plazas are other alternatives, especially if people are arriving there to travel into the city. You can give them a ride that will be cheaper and a better experience. Monitoring the competition. There are a couple of hacks you can use to see where there's demand for riders other than surges. The best one? Use the Uber Passenger app. You can open the app and see where all the current activity drivers are hanging out. Try to look for rides outside of those areas. If there's a developed housing area with little or no drivers, you can look for requests heading into the epicenter of your town. Again, these rides take longer and therefore have much better return for your time. Seasonal business. Sometimes how many rides you receive is purely seasonal. This can seem like a hopeless situation because there are physically less people looking for rides. Try going to neighboring cities or towns that aren't affected by seasonal business. For example, a college town might see a huge drop in business when students leave between the semesters. So what do? Travel to the next city over, one without a major college population, and spend the day taking rides. It helps you if you're familiar with the city beforehand, but a few hours driving and a solid GPS app can do wonders. Many states have more or less visitors because of seasonal weather. This can either work for or against your efforts. Pay attention to the weather and anticipate this drop in business. It is usually recurring, and with a bit of planning, you won't fall far behind. Accepting favorable rides. Another thing you can do for the best rides is to pay attention to pickup locations and riders' current rating. If you get a request that isn't in the city center, it is more likely a short ride, whereas flag drops outside the center are almost always much larger fares. Higher-rated passengers are more likely to tip and return a positive rating. You should absolutely accept every request you see. Ignoring requests or closing and restarting the app to refresh your requests can net you a bad acceptance rating. Acceptance ratings affect how many requests you receive and your overall driver rating. Even if the pickup location or the rider rating isn't what you're looking for, still accept the ride. Take advantage of this to make the most of your time online. This concludes Lesson 2 of Module 5, Finding the Best Drives. Please refer to the lesson guide for a full recap. For more information and going beyond the wheel, please move forward to Lesson 2.